My Glam Girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. So today we have another comparison video, and I am once again excited about this. If y'all don't know yet, I love me some comparison videos. So we are comparing two new powders, the Kosas Cloud Setting Powder, along with the new Dior Backstage Powder, no powder. And I'm very interested in this particular video because both of these powders, based on their description, sound very similar. So we're gonna do a full day wear test to see how these powders actually hold up to their claims and which one should be the better one for you. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and taking some time with me today. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad, and let's just get right into this video. So like I said, we've got two new powders that we are comparing, and we're gonna start with the Kosas powder. Now, I already did a review on this powder, comparing it to the Tatcha, the Silk powder, and the shade that I have in this Kosas one is Pillowy. It is a beautiful powder, and I'm not gonna tell you the results of that video because I want you to go watch it, but let me just say, this powder was impressive, very impressive. Some highlights of this particular powder that I do wanna call out is that this powder retails for $34. It comes in a total of 10 shades, and we get 0.33 ounces of product or 9.5 grams of product. The highlights of the powder is that it's good for pores, it's best for oily combination and normal skin, it's vegan, it has a natural finish, it is formulated without silicones, and of course, Kosas is a clean brand at Sephora. So it's a super soft sheer setting and smoothing powder baked with skincare that sweeps away shine, not the glow though, and feels like nothing but looks like everything. This powder leaves the most beautiful glow on the skin. So I applied it to this area of the eye, and hopefully from what you can see in the video and also what you see on camera, it has this like just beautiful light sheen. I don't have on highlight today because I really wanted the powders to show through, and so there's no highlight, but you can see it's just this beautiful light sheen coming from the powder. And when you actually swatch the powder and take a look at it up close, you can see the sheen. There's no fine particles, there's no like glitter particles in the powder, but it is so beautiful, and the effect is filtered. Like, this is the first product where I put it on my face and I'm like, oh, that's what they mean, like filter effect, face tune effect. I feel like this powder just smooths out my under eye. I'm tired, I'm not getting a lot of sleep as of late, and so I feel like my dark circles are more prominent, my wrinkles are a little bit more prominent, and this powder just sweeps over them. I feel like it almost kind of plumps my fine lines and just makes this area look so smooth and filtered. I am so here for this powder, it's not even funny. It's like quickly become a favorite powder of mine, and it's the powder that I reach for over my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. And if you know me, you know that powder and the Pat McGrath under eye setting powder are like my ride or die setting powders. This is the powder I've been reaching for since I've owned it. So I had one of you guys ask me which one's better, this one or Charlotte, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know. But as of right now, just based on what I've been reaching for, I've been reaching for this one. So I'm not gonna say it's better than Charlotte, but what I'm saying is I'm reaching for this one. Take from it what you want. This is a beautiful setting powder. It doesn't claim to be suitable for dry skin, but I do think this powder would be a really good powder for dry skin, simply because it does not weigh heavy under the eye when I place it on my face, because like you saw in the demo, I placed it all over this side of the face. It doesn't look, it just doesn't look dry or anything. So I think it is also a good powder for dry skin. And I also really enjoy the shade range. There's 10 shades of this particular powder, and I actually feel like the brand did a really good job of tackling various shades for various complexions. So Kosas is already a winner in my book, and I highly recommend this one. And just for reference, the shade Pillowy is described as a sheer medium tan. Moving on to the Dior Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder. So this powder is gonna retail for $40 and we get a total of 0.4 ounces or 11 grams of product. So we get a little bit more product in this particular powder than the Kosas one, but this one is also a few dollars more than the Kosas one. It also comes in 10 shades, and looking at the shade range, I think the shade range for this powder is also really nice and inclusive, so very happy about that. The highlights of this powder is that it's a pressed powder formula, the coverage is light, and it's going to leave a more matte finish. So the description says this is a weightless, translucent powder that reduces shine, sets makeup, and warms the complexion. It aims to blur imperfections and visibly even out the complexion for a luminous matte finish. It's completely foolproof. It's a compact powder that's infused in a gel base and applies seamlessly on the skin for a natural, non-powdery effect even after multiple touch-ups. So when I saw the description of this powder, I was like, this sounds kind of similar to the Kosas powder. Both of them are claiming to set the face, but also leave the face with some type of luminous glow, which is why I really wanted to compare the two. Based on how this particular product is formulated, like the description says, this is going to have more of a gel type of formulation, meaning that when you dip your brush in it, there's not gonna be any kick up, no, kind of splaying of the powder, whereas the Kosas one is definitely more powdery. I don't think there's a lot of pickup when I put my brush in there, but the powder is much more, if I could say, it has more of like an airy type feel to it than this one is. The shade that I purchased in the Dior one is shade 3N, and it is described as light medium skin, neutral undertones. So I applied this powder on this side of the face, and this is actually my first time wearing the Dior powder. So we're doing like a first impressions, but also a full day review on both powders. And just based off of what I can see with this powder, it looks very similar to the Kosas powder. I don't feel like just right off the bat there's any major difference that I can see between the two. Both of them, in my opinion, do leave that slight sheen. So if you look here, for the Dior powder, the blush that I have on is a cream blush, but it's also a matte blush. But right here, I feel like is where we see the effect of the powder, just like right here, we see the effect of the Kosas powder. So once again, leaving that beautiful luminous finish to the skin, but I do feel like both sides are set in terms of my concealer being set. Like we saw in the demonstration, I applied this powder all over this side of the face, and I used my Chikuhodo powder brush for both applications of the powder all over the face. And for setting the under eye, I used the Wayne Goss airbrush brush to do that because I wanted to have some consistency with the brushes. I would say that for the Dior powder, if you want to pack on the powder a little bit more, I would go in with a synthetic brush to kind of pack the powder on a little bit more. That's also based on your preference. I went in with this natural hair brush because I just wanted to lightly set the perimeter of my face, and I think it did really good with that. So far, like I said, I think both look really beautiful on the skin, and I'm here for both. I wanted to see how the powders looked in natural light, and I also wanted to see how the powders looked in flash photography. In natural light, I think both powders looked really nice, and I'm sorry that the lighting was not as clear. I was trying to find a place in the sun to stand, and I think the sun was just a little too bright. But I do feel like you can kind of see what it looks like in natural lighting, and I think both sides look really nice. And then when I did flash photography, both sides look beautiful, and I think you can really see the luminosity of both of the powders with the flash photography. There was no flashback or weird white cast from both of the powders, so I was really happy about that. So I don't know, y'all. I think this is gonna be a pretty hard competition because both right now are just looking beautiful. Like, I have no preference for either one yet. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. If we're being like nitpicky, depending on if you are into just clean brands only, things like that. That might deter which one you want to go for, but so far so good. So I'm going to go about my day. We're going to have these powders on for a minimum of 8 hours, and then I will check back in at the end of the day to share with you my final thoughts. So stay tuned, guys. We are back. It is the end of the day. I've had both of these powders on for, I want to say, over 11 hours now. It's been a long day. So looking at my face from afar, because I'm looking at my mirror down here, look at my mirror over there, I feel like in general, both sides look really, really good. They almost look identical to me. Remember that this side has Dior Backstage Face and Body No Powder Powder, or Powder No Powder, and then this side has the Kosas Cloud Setting Powder. So I think for just looking at it, my face looks very similar on both sides. Okay, so coming in closer, some of the things that I did notice, like very, very small, I guess, slight differences. So I did a little bit of crying today. I'm fine, just getting emotional. And I noticed that you can see a tear stain right here on this side of the face, but you don't see it on this side. And the Kosas powder doesn't claim to be waterproof, but I did find that interesting that I was crying on both sides of my face, but we only see like a tear stain on this side. Also, I noticed that my concealer breaking down around the corners of my nose, but I see more of the concealer breaking down around this nostril, and I'm hoping you all can see it compared to this nostril. And if I go like this, you can see more of the wearing away of the concealer on this side versus this side. I am wearing the YSL Touche Éclat Radiant Touch Concealer. In terms of my under eyes, in terms of like how the concealer looks underneath there, if there was any settling, I think both sides look really nice. Like there's no additional creasing of the concealer under either eye. Sorry, my lash is coming off, like I said, it's been a long day. And just in general, I feel like both sides look really nice. Both sides definitely have a radiant feel to it and a radiant look to it. I believe I said it earlier in the video, but if I didn't, I did not put highlight on today. So the radiance that we see is just coming from, especially like right around here, this radiance is coming from the powders. So I feel like in general, both powders essentially are doing the same thing. This powder is claiming to be more of a mattifying powder, and I wonder if that's why this side of my nose is not breaking down concealer-wise as much as this side. But I also know that the Kosas powder does claim to be long wearing, and it is claiming to be a setting powder. And I do feel, just kind of moving my head side to side, I do feel we have a little bit more dew on this side of my nose compared to this side, but that could also be because the concealer has worn away more on this side than on this side. So I feel like in terms of which side, if I could say, held my liquid products better, gonna go with the Dior side slightly more than the Kosas side, just from what we're seeing, you know, from around the nose. But in general, I think both of the powders, for the most part, are doing the same thing. So then it's just gonna come down to like really specific preferences. You know, cost, the Kosas one is $34, Dior is $40. Do you prefer a more powder-like formula, gel-based formula? Even down to shades. Both powders have 10 shades, but you might find a better tone between the Kosas or the Dior. And then I think, you know, product ingredients, the Kosas one is going to be a clean product compared to the Dior. It's not a clean brand. I don't think I mentioned this before. There is a slight fragrance with this particular powder, but like I have to get very close, like nose and product to even smell it, and it's still very light. I didn't even notice it earlier, so I probably didn't mention it earlier, but when I applied it to my face, I didn't notice it. Whereas the Kosas powder doesn't have a fragrance at all, and it doesn't smell like kind of weird or like extra natural. You know, some, you know, natural clean products still have a scent to it. There's no scent with the Kosas powder. In terms of the blurring effect, because both do claim to blur imperfections and things like that, I think both of them do the same thing, because, you know, I'm looking at the Kosas side and I'm looking at the Dior side, and I don't know. Now that I'm like looking at it and with a little bit more detail, and you guys tell me, because, you know, you all see things sometimes better than I do, I feel like we're still getting a more flawless filtered look on the Kosas side versus the Dior side. But it's definitely not so overtly noticeable. And like I said, you all tell me your feedback down in the comment section below. But just like looking right in this area of the face, and I'll come a little closer too, I feel like just looking right here, the Kosas side looks a little bit more filtered, a little bit more flawless and perfected and smooth than the Dior side. You guys tell me. But all in all, I like both powders. Personally, I'm gonna reach for both because I definitely want to get more of a feel of the Dior to, like, you know, further confirm this initial wear test. Kosas still seems to be the winner. If I had to choose one just from results, ooh, this is hard. Because I feel like the Dior kind of set and held the liquid products a little bit better than Kosas did, just based on the corners of my nose. But like, I can't get over this filtered look. So if I had to choose, I'd probably still go with the Kosas one, just because I have a little bit more experience with it. But now that I have the Dior, I wonder if, like, I'm thinking I might use the Kosas to set my under eyes and use the Dior to like set around my nose. I don't know. Like I said, I'll keep you updated. We will talk in April when we get to these April favorites. That's when I'll let you know which one really is the winner between the two. But all in all, I think both powders are beautiful. I would recommend both of them. I'm glad I have this one, and I think this is a really beautiful powder. And just across the board, I think both powders would work beautifully on all types of skin, dry, normal, combination, and oily. I don't see any skin type having a problem with either. I would say for combination oily, maybe Dior, you know, slightly wins in terms of maybe keeping your oils at bay. But in all honesty, I don't think the differences are so great and so disparate that I would say Kosas significantly more than Dior, or, you know, vice versa. So those are my final thoughts. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment sections below. I would love to hear what you guys think and what you see and how you feel either side works. If you have either of these powders, tell me how you like them, or maybe how you don't like them. I'd love to hear all of the comments. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, definitely consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girls squad, because we'd love to have you. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye guys.